Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Ross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for kicking my stepson out for coming home late? Me, 40 male, and my wife, 39 female, got married a month ago. I have a daughter, 16 female. She has a son, 16 male. Also, my wife's ex died in a sad incident in 2015. We met online. She was living in another city not far away. We started visiting each other and eventually got married. She moved into my house with her son. Her son is an amateur photographer and graphic designer. He has worked for a couple of small magazines and micro-influencer. At 16, good for him, holy shit. I don't know much, but he makes money from that. He's never taken any money from me. I've never seen him take anything from my wife either. At first, he was good with me and my daughter. We only argued twice, and the second time, I somehow ended up kicking him out of the house. Somehow, huh? That's actually a really good key example of missing reasons right there. Sorry to interrupt, but my brain's looking for it right now. I can't tell you the whole first one because then it's over 3,000 characters. It's just my daughter said something about the troubled guys he hangs out with. I warned him. He didn't argue, but he was very irritated. After that day, he continued to be nice to me and my daughter, but it was very fake. So he has a better control over his emotions than you do by the sounds of it. Last week, he had a photo shooting job and came home late. I told him that my house has an in and out rule and he shouldn't be so late. He calmly told me that he didn't come home because he was working. I said, I understand, but there are rules in this house. He said, your house, your rules, but I don't think I can follow them when I'm working. Sorry. That made me mad, and I said, maybe I need to think about some things. He responded, like what? Call me dumb for being provoked by a kid, but I got really pissed off and said, like kick you out. His mom tried to calm him down. It didn't work. He said, think about it. I'm waiting. I don't want to tell the whole conversation, but in the final, I told him, then get out of my house. What was really said, buddy? What did you really say to him? He asked my wife, do you have anything to say about this? When she said, let's sit down and talk in peace. He went to his room and locked the door. 2 hours later, he packed all his things, called a taxi, and left the house. When I asked him to stop, he said, think twice before you speak. My wife cried and begged, but he didn't listen to her either. The next day in the evening, he called my wife. He was back in his home city, staying with a friend for a while and then renting a house. He's a minor. I don't know how he's going to rent a house, but he's already not supposed to get on a plane or bus by himself. No, he can do that. I really don't know how he got back. Oh, shit. Is really like one of those annoying kids in a sitcom. Wife had told me before that he was very stubborn, just like his father, but I didn't expect this much. Things have been going downhill with my wife. I don't know what to do. Am I the asshole? Edit. I have to say, I really didn't mean to kick him out. I just didn't think he was really going to leave. I also wanted to have a nice conversation, but he escalated the argument so quickly. Yeah, and is that why you called him a cunt in your fucking Reddit post? Sounds like you got thrown into a cotton gin by Reddit and now you're desperately trying to walk your mango-armed back. Because you refused to even elaborate what was said. You skipped key points. You started with point A, skipped B, C, D, E, and F, and somehow, God knows how, ended up at Q. Like it is crystal clear at A through Q, you're hiding something. And you don't want to say what you said because it'll make you look like the bad guy. You got into a power struggle with a 16-year-old and lost. He wasn't even out partying or drinking or doing something irresponsible. Homeboy was working. Probably fucking harder than you, and that's why you're so bent up about it. But he's making his own money. He's doing well for himself at 16. To the point where you lost the power struggle, he was able to leave. Now he's gonna rent a house, and what do you have to tell your wife? You fucked up because you said you were gonna kick him out, so he just decided, I'm gonna leave. You tried calling his bluff, but it turns out you were playing poker and he was playing Balatro. Motherfucker has 5 aces of spades. I don't know how many people are gonna get that joke. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend not to mention her job to my coworkers? I, 22 male, graduated in the spring and started my first full-time job in June. I was really hoping I'd get hired here and was very excited when I got the job. My girlfriend, 20 female, hasn't graduated college yet, so she still lives on campus and works part-time in the school cafeteria. I have no issue with her doing this and think it's very respectable. She's working and juggling schoolwork as well. My work invited me to a team dinner this week and told me I was allowed to bring a guest. Obviously, I chose my girlfriend and asked her about coming. She was very excited and agreed to come. She asked me some questions to get a general vibe of how the dinner would be. I told her that my coworkers were a little older than me, like early 30s or older, and pretty professional, so I was wondering if she could not mention what she does for work at the dinner. I wasn't making a demand or anything, I just didn't want my coworkers looking down on her when she could easily avoid the topic and not bring it up. She got really upset and told me that she feels like I'm embarrassed by her, which is not true. She's also saying she doesn't want to come to the dinner anymore because I don't respect her, which is absolutely not what I feel. I wasn't trying to downplay her job, I just don't want any of my coworkers judging her. Or me by extent, there it is. At a new job I really care about. I tried to call her about it to explain it better, but she just claimed, if I'm not good enough to come as is, I don't want to be included. This makes me really sad because I was excited to share such a big part of my life with her. I talked to my roommate about the situation and he told me that what I did is pretty rude, and that it looks like I'm embarrassed by her. After what my roommate said and my girlfriend's reaction, I'm starting to feel I could be wrong. Am I the asshole? So, in the professional workspace environment, no one's going to judge your girlfriend for still going through school and working a cafeteria job. In fact, it's actually very impressive and commendable that she's not only going through school, but holding a job at the same time. Every one of your colleagues has gone through college. They know what that grind is like. They know how that feels. Unless you work with hedge fund finance bros, they're not going to care. And the thing is, you 100% told on yourself that you are embarrassed by what your girlfriend does for work. For one, by how much you keep trying to reassure us that you don't find it embarrassing, and two, by that one little healthy comment that you included in parentheses, or me by extension. Not to mention, also, the main focus isn't going to be the ins and outs of her cafeteria job, it's going to be her studies and what she's enjoying about them. If anything, you bringing your girlfriend to that dinner is going to be actually bonus points for you. You're 22. Just out of college, and the world is still fairly new to you. What you should do is you should apologize to your girlfriend, let her know that you were being stupid, that you would love to have her come to the dinner, because right now you're letting your insecurities get in the way of your relationship and also, potentially, your job. Cross-posted from r/today I fucked up. Today, I fucked up by microwaving my socks at work. So, I biked to work. This morning, it poured on me halfway there, and my shoes plus socks were absolutely soaked. By the time I got to the office, my feet were pruned like raisins. I thought, okay, I'll just dry them out real quick in the break room microwave. I'd seen people do gloves in there before, no big deal. I take off my socks, toss... I take off my socks, toss them in for 2 minutes, and go back to my desk. About 45 seconds in, I smell something awful, like burnt hair mixed with wet dog. And the fire alarm goes off. Turns out, the synthetic material in my socks basically melted and filled the entire office with smoke. Everyone evacuated. Building management shows up, asks where the fire was, and all my coworkers are standing around shivering in the parking lot while I had to admit, it was my socks. Now the microwave is trashed. HR has sent an email reminding everyone not to cook clothing, and I have achieved permanent nickname status, Hot Socks. Too long didn't read. Tried to dry my wet socks in the work microwave. Smoked out the whole office. Earned a new identity. A fun addition from Moonlight Lullaby. You know, of all the ways I've considered drying my clothes, a microwave has never been one of them. Especially not a public microwave. Nor would I have thought of fucking leaving my clothes while they're being microwaved. Maybe I'm missing out on something by not having these thoughts. You know, more than just the fire department coming out to my place. Honestly, the devil portion of this comes from the fact of just, my socks are wet. How can I dry them off quickly? Oh, I know! The place where people heat up their lunch. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for wanting my stepdaughter to share with my kids? Very long, but I'm conflicted. I, 48 male, married my wife L, 43 female, 6 years ago. L has a daughter, S, 17 female, with her ex M. And I have 2 daughters, T, 16 female, and B, 15 female. S and I aren't very close, but L is like a mother to my girls. Okay, because I am not playing the initial game for the entire time of this, L is Luis, S is Samantha, T is Tiffany, B is Brittany, and M is Mike. Samantha has not really gotten along with Tiffany and Brittany, but they'll adjust. Mike and Luis share custody, so Samantha spends weekends and school breaks with Mike. He is very well off, think 7, almost 8 figures. When Samantha turned 17, Mike made a deal in which he co-signed and paid insurance plus down payment for a used Audi as long as Samantha paid monthly payments, maintenance, and gas. Samantha has been working 2 part-time jobs and is able to do it. Mike drew up a contract and asked Louise and I to sign as witnesses. She now has an Audi to use as she needs. Biggest question would be is what year is it? Tiffany and Brittany have been a little unsettled since Samantha got her car and have been pestering me about getting a car for them because Tiffany also has her license. Our family is well off, but not as rich as Mike. Tiffany has been asking to drive Samantha's car just to try it out, and Samantha has said no every time, going as far as locking her keys in a safe in her room. To stop the chaos, I have told Samantha to not drive when she's visiting us unless absolutely necessary, so that she doesn't flaunt her luxury in front of my daughters. Samantha has been visiting Luis more during the summer because she spent more time at her father's house due to remote learning. Brittany just got her learner's permit, and I've been teaching her because I'm working from home and have time. My family has 2 cars, and I've been teaching Brittany and mine. Since Samantha came home 2 weeks ago, Tiffany and Brittany have restarted pestering to buy another car. Brittany has also been asking if I can teach her in the Audi because it's different. Samantha repeatedly said no. Last week, I relented and told Samantha to give me her keys so that I could teach Brittany. Samantha said no again. I told her that as long as she was part of the family, she would have to share the family's belongings. She then started screaming at me that it was her car because she was paying for it. Brittany started crying and Tiffany called Samantha a selfish bitch. Samantha kept talking about how she was paying everything for the car and nobody else could drive it because no one else was insured for that car. I told her that she would have to share because Tiffany and Brittany were her family, or she would be grounded. Samantha yelled at me again and told me that I wasn't her parent. Louise was mostly taking Samantha's side, and I'm still angry that she wasn't supporting me or my daughters. Samantha packed up and left for her father's immediately. 3 days ago, Louise got a notice that Mike is filing for full custody. Louise is beside herself. I called Samantha and told her that she was ruining her family and that she should apologize to her mother and I. She was sniffing the whole time, and then I hear Mike take the phone and tell me that we'll see each other in court. Louise is now angry at me for making her lose her daughter, but I feel like Samantha was being disrespectful under my roof. Am I the asshole? Thing is, buddy, it's not family property. It's literally, by all means, her car. Legally, insurance-wise, and just by grounds of morality. She pays for it. She handles everything for it. She took on the responsibility for a used Audi, which, in some cases, depending on how old it is, can be a financial sinkhole. And she took on that responsibility. And she's right about the insurance, by the way. But like, dude, you told Samantha, either share your car or you're not part of the family. She has no obligation to share the car, so she left. There was actually a comment by Sugar Mama 76 that stood out to me, and is something that I didn't quite pick up on because it's not something I had to think about. It hit me. Stepdaughter had a safe in her room. Gimme, gimme, gimme is so normalized in that house. Anything dad has gotten stepdaughter, she's having to lock up to protect. The car isn't the first time. This is the final time. She's paying for this car, working hard to keep it, and she's tired of everything she earns. Sounds like dad is ensuring she understands value and not just spoils, is expected to be handed over to her stepsisters. Bet if you got the story from her side, you'd hear about clothes, makeup, and electronics that now belong to the stepsisters until dad got her a safe to protect her valuables. And how many times she's been grounded for not giving up the combo. User Meow Meows comments in response, as someone who bought a safe as a teenager too, this is a safe assumption. Teenagers do not think about owning a safe until the safety of their home life has been violated. Samantha has definitely lost valuable things to her stepsisters, and this asshole just rolls his eyes and calls it teenage girl drama. Also, real quick as a final thought, I just want to read the first line and the final sentence. First sentence was, very long, but I'm conflicted. Final sentence was, Elle is now angry at me for making her lose her daughter, but I still feel like S was being disrespectful under my roof. Sounds to me you're only conflicted about the part that you made your wife angry and not your actual actions, but hey, that's just what you wrote. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for expecting my wife to visit my family for the holidays? My wife, 32, and I, 33, married over 2 years ago, and she's still salty about what my parents wore to the wedding. My dad wore jeans with a blazer, and my mom wore a Patagonia-like vest under a silk shirt that was clearly visible in Crocs. I understand that was definitely not wedding-appropriate attire, and I did tell them what to wear. However, having dealt with them my entire life, I cannot say I'm surprised. She says she is upset because our wedding photos were not nice to look at, and she never framed them. My dad also yelled at the waiter, which was bad, yes, but she didn't know until after the wedding, and my sister managed to get him under control so it didn't impact the wedding. We fought about this a few days at the end of the wedding, but it died down, and we stopped discussing it partly because my parents live 7 hours away, so she never interacted with them after the wedding. She told me then she wasn't visiting my family, and I took it to mean that year, which was fine as the memory was too fresh. But she actually meant never. We had our son 8 months ago, and she refuses to come to see my parents for the holidays. I would understand if it was that she wasn't feeling well, but she's feeling amazing because she hiked for hours the previous weekend and wants to go skiing again this season. She basically just doesn't want to interact with my family. My parents are not easy to deal with, my dad is not friendly, and he is bitter from being unaccomplished. So that basically has left him with a miserable attitude. However, visiting once a year and sucking it up for a few hours a day when he hasn't actually blown up or made comments towards my wife, beyond at the beginning when he said he doesn't like her profession, and not to her face, doesn't seem unreasonable for her to dislike him that much. That was an incomprehensible run-on sentence. But she refuses, and traveling with an 8-month-old is incredibly difficult. She's still breastfeeding him and has some frozen milk built up, and thinks I should accept her not wanting to visit my parents by either bringing the frozen milk to feed him for a few days or I go alone. I try to tell her it is really rude not to at least try to get along, and if there's a fight, she will need to interact with him again, but she straight up refuses. I feel like I'm being made the asshole for expecting her to do this, but speaking with colleagues and close friends, most have family they do not like, and most do not like their in-laws, and still make an effort to at least go once a year. But my wife says they ruined her wedding photos, so she not visiting them makes them even. So I tried to find like a "you're the asshole" and "not the asshole" comment to split between this, but to find a "not the asshole" comment, I had to sort by controversial and start looking in the negatives to even find a "not the asshole" comment. So I can't really entertain that, which the only reason why I was looking for one is because people in r/AmITheDevil were saying that there were people in the original comments that were defending the husband and going after the wife, and I wanted to try to find that for some additional context, but I couldn't without looking at some unreasonably unpopular opinions. But to look at a comment from the original thread, Lighthouse on Mars. You're the asshole. My parents are miserable people. I told them if they gave my husband attitude or tried any of their manipulative bullshit with him, I would cut them off so fast their heads would spin. That's how you're supposed to handle the situation. You're basically saying, yeah, my parents are awful, but she just needs to suck it up for a couple days a year. And that's a stupid way to live life. Stand up for your wife. You married her and had a kid with her. She should come first. Go see your parents, and if they ask where she is, say that they are miserable people that owe her an apology and that you completely understand why she doesn't want to visit them. Basically, you need to grow a backbone. You're an adult with a family of your own at this point. Stop enabling their bad behavior just because it's easier to deal with. And just to give some additional Oz opinion here, which the current market going rate is a rusted penny at the bottom of a lake, It's pretty damn clear that OP's wife, the problem isn't just entirely subjected to the wedding. If anything, I get the opinion and the feeling that the wedding was the final straw, that she's been putting up with them for a while, and on the day that was supposed to be a celebration of her and her husband uniting their love, they wore fucking Crocs to the wedding and fought with the waitstaff. That sounds more like a final straw to me than being the entire purpose for why she's avoiding visitation. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for not waiting for my partner to leave the building during a fire alarm? The fire alarm in our apartment building went off early this morning. My partner, 34 male, and I, 39 female, sleep in separate bedrooms because of our different work schedules. I got up and checked on our cats, who are both terrified of loud noises. My cat was hiding in the corner. His cat was running around the apartment. Our building is pet-friendly, and I knew there would be tons of dogs outside. I felt like taking the time to chase them down and put them in carriers to be outside surrounded by dogs would cause more distress than necessary. I saw his bedroom light was on, so I knew he was awake. I went and threw some clothes on, put on my jacket and shoes. I checked back in on him, and he was on the toilet in the bathroom. Since we are both capable adults, I then left the building, expecting he would follow soon. A few minutes later, he came down and said, "Every man for himself, huh?" He said the fact that I left without him proved I don't actually care about him. He said the fact that I didn't say anything or text him wasn't what normal people do in a relationship. That if the building was on fire and the ceiling fell and crushed him and the cats, that I wouldn't even know. He then broke up with me. Am I the asshole? Like, you didn't even check on him or say anything to him. You just saw the light was on and assumed and walked out. Drill or not, like, if my partner didn't at least check on me or see if I was alright before leaving during a fire drill, I'd feel pretty hurt by that. Like, you would need to drag me out by my feet before I left my partner, or my pets for that matter, alone while the fire alarm was going off. Drill or no drill? Cross-posted from r/pet peeves. People who go out in public hate the idea of someone wanting to talk to them. Honestly, this is just stupid. Every time I go to a coffee shop, I have anxiety because I might accidentally have to sit next to a woman. And nearly 100% of the time, she is not okay with that. Even though I'm not ugly and I don't talk to them for the most part, guys aren't as bad. But yeah, I'm just flabbergasted at what I constantly experience from women because just now, I was at a coffee shop and started sweating because the electrical outlet was near a girl I could just sense was bigoted towards men. I even made a big deal of looking for an outlet elsewhere and just happened to land next to her so she wouldn't feel threatened. Well, of course that didn't help. I simply sat down and she immediately left to vape outside. She did that twice in about 6 minutes before packing up her things and leaving. I mean, I can't help but laugh. You're in public but hate the thought of even being social with people and being friendly? Like you think I'm going to assault you in the coffee shop? Or even make a scene if you won't give me your phone number or something so we can hang out and get to know each other as friends? Oh, the insanity. Yes, we're social creatures. Yes, having people around us with stories and chances for adventure, concerts, parties, holidays, birthdays, or even artistic ventures or projects to share our creativity online is a good thing and is fun. You're going to be approached by people who want to hang out with you and be your friend, even if you're a woman. And bonus, you might even get romance from it too. My experience overall is heartbreaking, and I hope we can stop this stupid misandry, bear-loving, man-hating nonsense and all just get along and not be afraid of friendships or intimacy. Most people won't want to harm you. It's stupid to think otherwise. Edit. No, I never sit down at anyone's table. No, I don't randomly talk to people post-pandemic. I obviously learned my lesson. Also, I was going to maybe chalk this off as a all in my head, but y'all people prove my point. Most women are bigoted towards men. So I just want to roll that back a little bit because the edit. Just now, I was at a coffee shop and started sweating because the electric outlet was near a girl I could just sense was bigoted towards men. I even made a big deal of looking for an outlet elsewhere and just happened to land next to her so she wouldn't feel threatened. So, did you lie about that, or did you lie about never sitting down at anyone's table? So, I noticed that this was missing from the post here, but From what OP has told us, whether or not this was a fictional story or not, he didn't ask if he could sit down next to her or at the same table to use the outlet, because if you just approached and said like, hey, would it be alright if I use this outlet to charge my laptop or charge my phone while I wait for my coffee? Speaking from experience, that normally works. But the problem is that this isn't about whether or not you can sit at a table or be allowed to sit somewhere in public, because you go on to rant about how this could lead to romance and you should stop being scared of it, or how it could also lead to intimacy. And it's not like intimacy between two friends, because he specifies the two are different: friendship or intimacy. Now, if you thought, oh, well, maybe the guy is just being taken out of context, or maybe he had a bad day and flubbed his wording, oh no. Unfortunately, this man was very active in the comment section. Starting with this one, from Caesar's Legion 01. Yeah, I'd probably leave too if some random person sat next to me without asking. OP, Fearless Scar 7086 comments, yeah, that is what makes you either an antisocial prick or a bigot. Caesar's Legion responds, just antisocial to random people. I talk to my friends all the time. OP of that post responds, well, all are extraordinarily sorry you would rather make a random person horrified to exist in public than tell them, hey, sorry, I'm busy, if they decide to talk to you. Legion responds, I mean, if they sat in my personal space without asking, sounds like their problem if they feel that way from my reaction. OP responds, yeah, in no way is open seating in a coffee shop personal space. Thanks for trolling and being annoying though. I'm sure you do have friends, and of course they would never want to have more because you're so good at keeping them. /sarcastic. Legion responds, I don't need more friends. It's about quality, not quantity. Someone trying to explain what's going on to OP. Just to FaZe comments, here's what you need to understand. Every woman is raised knowing that men might hurt us. We see it happening to people all around us. We all know that most men are fine, but the thing is, it's like the game Among Us. The killer is hidden, and it could be anyone. If you knew there was a 25% chance that an assassin was going to kill you, and it could be anyone, being cautious doesn't make you think everyone is an assassin. It means that you know someone is, and so you have to treat everyone with suspicion. It's the only way to protect yourself. When a woman is assaulted and survives, she ends up feeling a lot of shame, and there are many people who will blame her. No woman wants that hanging over her head. We all know someone who has been hurt by a man. It's not personal. You should also consider your approach. You might come off as off-putting. If you're already ruminating on this, you might come off as angry, and we're gonna avoid that. If you insist on seeing it this way, you will perpetuate the negative reactions. Also, it's kind of unfair since everyone has to go out in public to function. It's not an invitation just because someone is there. They don't owe you conversation for existing in public. Now, what do you think his response might be? An open heart? A bit of open consideration of, oh, damn, I didn't think about that. I just want to be able to make friends and have, conversations in public. Like he said, he just wants to make chances for adventure, concerts, parties, holidays, birthdays, or even artistic ventures or projects to share our creativity. Do you think that maybe his response would be along those lines? Oh no. OP opens with 25% chance. Let's see, 1 in 6 women get raped in their lifetime. There are about 5,000 femicides yearly out of 209 million in the US women over 18. So that means per year, you have a 0.002% chance of getting killed. And since women meet about 10,000 men on average in their lifetime, and only 1 in 6 get raped, 1 in 3 assaulted, that's 1 out of every 60,000 men you meet that would assault you, or worse, which is 6 times less than you would even meet in your life, of course. Because most assaults happen from family and friends of family, of course. I'm sure you feel better about that, knowing you can befriend any guy almost and just vet them by looking at socials, hanging out in public, etc. Knowing all of your fears are gone if you just math it out. Sarcastic. And then after OP didn't get a response within 10 minutes, he furthers up with a response comment. Also, man-on-man violence is greater than male-on-female, LOL, so I have a bigger chance of being killed by a man than you do. Lol, 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 lol. Show of hands, who wants to sit by this guy at the coffee shop? I sure as fuck don't. Now, for the men in my comments section who are worried that this is about them, trust me, it's not. Hopefully, some of you are at least familiar enough to know about my backstory and history, as it is unfortunately public. So trust me when I tell you this, it's not about men as a whole. It's just about the ones that feel like they're entitled to someone's time and don't even bother just to ask. Something that OP fails to consider is that, yeah, no one expects you to do something in the coffee shop in front of people. Obviously. But it's what you might do after. Are you going to follow them home? Are you going to stalk them on social media? Are you going to harass them and make their life a living hell? Because yeah, not every man is going to do that, for sure. Like, that's not something that is going to be a guaranteed case when someone wants to sit down at a table with someone. But it's the fact that it can happen. It's the fact that some guys don't understand where boundaries need to be. It's the fact that they don't even bother to ask if they can sit at the table. That 1 in 6 number is a pretty horrifying statistic. That also means there are plenty of stories of what can and has happened to other women. So yeah, it's entirely reasonable for them to be on guard or skeptical of someone's intentions or behavior. And for the guys that are listening, just ask. And if she says no, then find another table to sit at. US building code requires outlets be 6 feet spaced apart, so there's gonna be other outlets. There's gonna be other tables. Which is also why OP's story is just even more bullshit the more that I think about it. So it's either he made up something to get mad at, or didn't even bother to look for other outlets, or was using the outlet as an excuse to sit next to someone and didn't like the fact they had no interest in actually talking with him. Plus, he probably also approached the table looking pissed off and angry and just expecting, as he said, by the way, I'm not even projecting here, I could sense she was bigoted towards men. So you approached her, probably wearing the expression of sensing that she was bigoted towards men, and sat down, and you're wondering why she wanted to leave the table. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.